Okay, so go ahead, create a new project. All right, call this which district? Thursday. Huh? Let's call this variables. You got that name? Variables. Finish. Are we moving together? From there, I will want you to go to your source packages and create a new Java class. You will call it variables as well. Press finish when that is done. You should be presented with something like this. Correct?
So what do we name that Java class?
Same one, variables. Let me just confirm something with my... The what? This? Don't follow it. I've just realized I need to change the type of my thing so that it's similar to yours. Okay, so let's start afresh. If you're speaking, we're not gonna hear each other. Let's start afresh. We're gonna create a project. Let's call it var. No more variables, eh? Vari. Because this is the face that you guys see on your project when you are creating, right? You are in this state. Now, let's just hit finish. Because I want us to have the same thing. This is how your projects open like, ne? Correct? It will say package, vary, public class, vary, and there will be some comments and there will be some stuff. Do you remember what I said we must remove? It's the comments, ne? So remove the comments. What else did I say we do? Guys, what else did I say we must do? We must bring the brackets so that they are aligning, right? And then remove the empty spaces in our project. Normally your project in the beginning start exactly like this. Now instead of doing this, because we are now in programming mode, guys, the noise you are making there, do you want to come and teach or what? Because I feel like you are teaching your friends there. Let me increase the font instead of font and colors. Okay, so I want us to learn a bit of programming, which will be in the background. You still can't log in? And your friend next to you, are they logged in? Yeah, let's work together. Because that issue of logging in might not be solved today. What are we talking about now? Huh? Class? What are we talking about? Because I have not done anything yet. Okay, so on your notes, I did provide books for you, no? The book that you got that day with a pen. A book and a pen. You did. So you did not get a book and a pen. It's fine. On your notes or somewhere else in your mind, this is what we're trying to do. We're going to learn how a computer display data, capture data, and different kinds of data that are stored in a computer. So in a start, we're going to start with the different kind of data. So this is what we call types of data or data types. So data types are basically the kind of data that the computer or our programming language will accept. For example, if we're speaking of just numbers, which looks like this, right? It could be negative numbers, it could be positive numbers. These are classified as integers, right? But then the minute we start saying 12.6, you know, things like that, anything with a comma are classified into two categories. First one being a float and double. This class is on fire. Okay, then we have got things that could be a combination of letters and what and special characters, right? These are now called strings. Okay, am I missing something else? I think these are the basic that you need to be worried of. And then we've got another one wherein it's only a single thing. Let's say, for example, the letter R, right? This is classified as a Then, trying to think. Then we've got options that only allows you to have true or false. These are classified as booleans. Why are you learning these things? You are doing investigations of what's coming. I'm gonna die soon. Now let's go verify and implement some of these data types that we are speaking about, right? So these are some of the data type that a computer will allow you to play around with. All of this. The computer will allow you to play around these kind of data types and it will be accepted in a computer. If we go to our project now, we navigate back to our project and we start mentioning some of those names. So for example, if I want a number, I cannot immediately just say, wait, I'm missing something. Notes. We stopped on booleans, right? Now, what are variables, right? Variables, this is what we refer to as a memory in a computer, right? So we are basically saying a computer must provide us with memory where we can store things. Remember, memory is when we are storing what? Things, right? For example, if I want to store a value like, before we go to the example, what makes up a variable? It should be the name of the variable, right? Together with the data type. So once you have these two, we know that we're dealing with a what? With a variable. Once we see the name of the variable and the kind of data that that variable holds, we know we're dealing with a what? With a variable. Okay, additional notes. If you don't learn programming from me, right, if you don't understand it from me, your life is over. Practically like that. Okay. Here's an example of what memory allocation looks like. My drawing skills, Sham. Aha. Indoda must draw, guys. Okay, the lesson I'm giving you today, this one, it's exclusive. No one will ever teach you this one. Even the drawing, you can see the drawing is on point. Now, let's assume we want to explain what is memory allocation in a computer. Now, a computer works in a very simple manner, wherein if you can picture a CD, let's come this side and throw up a second. Then we decorate our circle. This one doesn't have to be a perfect drawing. Just enough so that you understand. We are familiar with a CD, right? That we used to put music inside. Or movies, ne? Very familiar with it. Now, if you know how a CD is, one thing maybe you are not aware of is that a CD works in what we call sectors, right? Now, sectors are a block of memory in a CD that are equally divided. So this one, this portion here will be a sector, right? Funny enough, this sector is exactly equal to the sector that can be found here. But you see per size, they don't look equal, right? So a CD is usually just divided into sectors like this. But all of these sectors, whether it's this one and this one, are exactly of the same size. Even though physically it does not look like that. You are understanding that portion, right? Now, me and you both know that when we speak of sizes in memory terms, we are usually speaking of things like, let's say for example, that sectors are divided into, they usually go in even numbers. Let's say they're divided into 4 megabytes. Ooh, this is some small font. Let me pick a bigger one. This thing is freezing. Let's wait for it. Give it some time. There we go. There we go. 4 MB. Bring back my. I feel like it's still writing in a small. Nice. You know 4 megabyte, right? You can picture 4 megabyte. Huh? Hello? Are you familiar? You have heard of such thing, eh? 10 megabyte, 2 gig. You know what we're speaking about. So let's say each slot here, it's equal to 4 megabyte, right? And you go get a song. Which song is hot these days? Eh? Whopper. Whopper. Right? This is an what? An MP3 file. Ne? You take it, you save it to your computer. This file is worth 15 megabytes. Now let's talk numbers. each slot in this CD, you want to write this song on this CD, right? Each slot is 4 megabytes. Will this song, full song, fit in one sector? It won't, ne? So what happens in a computer, the song gets to be divided, right? So the computer will come and say, hey, our slots are only capable of taking a maximum of what? 4 megabytes, right? The song is what? 15 megabytes. Divided by 4, how many perfect slots do we get? We get 1, we get 2, that's 8 megabytes, we get 3, that's 12. Then we're supposed to get to 16, we can't really get to 16, right? So the other one is missing just 1 megabyte. So what happens is the computer will come and say, okay, first slot, and this happens randomly. It doesn't mean that it will save them here, 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 here until it's never, right? So what happens is the memory, if you have heard of something called RAM, if you heard of something called the RAM, what is the meaning of RAM? Or what does RAM stand for? Repeat the first word. Again. That simply means the computer does not do things in order, right? It works randomly so. So hence I'm saying don't picture this and say it will be this slot, this slot, this slot, then fill this slot, or it's going in circle like this slot, this slot, this slot. It doesn't happen like that. So you will see when I demonstrate just now, where's the undo? Okay, pick up the thing again. Let me just drop some other sectors. There could be more sectors and all of that. So when the song has been divided, how many pieces does this song have? 4. But the other one is not full. Okay? So we go, we're like, okay, first, let's even change the color. Hey. This thing is freezing, eh? Let's pick up a color, go with our paint. We say first slot of the song comes there. Second slot of the song is coming here. Third slot of the song sits here. Then the other one sits here. Now the song is complete, but then remember, this other slot is not really full, right? So we can easily crash a PC and say this is where it's not full. What is interesting is here, you will see later when we speak of variable, what is interesting here is that you can all relate maybe now why when you drop a CD, right? Or when we say a CD has a scratch, you have heard when a CD has a scratch. Most of us should have been, would have experienced that in our life. Now, if a scratch comes here, do you see that it doesn't really affect the whole song? The other pieces of the song can still play. Remember, the CD will be spinning, but because of how the random access memory works, it still remembers where is this piece of the song, right? Where is this piece of the song? When you say skip or when you say fast forward, it knows that, okay, this person is looking for this slot. By that time, the CD is spinning so fast, right? And you saw they say reader there when you put the CD. There's something that looks like it's a scanner, right? It keeps reading and it keeps moving up and down. Remember when the CD is spinning, it's in one position. It does not move, eh? It's just spinning in one position. There's something there's like a hand that is moving and reading the information on the CD up and down like this from this section to this section as the CD is spinning. Now, if you get a scratch here, that it doesn't mean that the whole song is dead. But guess what? Whenever we have a slot like this, which is not fully capacitated, you can see, right? We're missing how many megabytes here? Just 1 to make it full, ne? Then it happened that we have another song that is coming through, right? That song requires 1 megabyte, right? Your computer will then say, bring that song, we'll squeeze it in here. Right? Even your phones are doing that these days. But on phones, it's an action that you must take. Have you seen on your phone it's full, right? It says, especially Samsung. Samsung users are familiar with this. The space is never enough for Samsung. So the Huawei ones, they are good. They are good. Now, your phone sometimes will say, hey, you are running out of memory. Delete some of these things, right? But besides deleting, it can give you this option of saying, clear cache memory. Now, cache memory will simply mean there is some space left where we saved things, but it was not fully capacitated, right? Like here, there's a song we put, it's called Whopper, but it didn't fill the whole space. We're going to take some of your nodes that you have taken, and we'll squeeze them here. But the language that the phone says to you, it's clear cache memory, right? Then you're like, yes, clear. When you clear, you will see it will now say, you now have maybe 1 gig free. You're like, ooh, where was this memory? That memory means that maybe there was another song which was just sitting and consuming 1 megabyte in one slot, right? The computer will go search which song it's only consuming 1 megabyte in a slot, that we can slot it here on this sector so that we free up that slot. You get it? Easy like that. Do you understand this scenario? Because we're about to switch now. This one is exciting. We're about to switch to programming. This whole scenario, the way I've explained it on a CD, happens in a computer when we're programming in this fashion. All these slots are still called sectors of memory, right? It's just that now it's no longer a spinning CD, it's just a flat memory. When you have a song called Whopper, the same thing is going to happen. It will be distributed randomly so in all of these slots, right? Without any order where the song is going. You're understanding me, right? But in a computer, what is important is the following. We need to find the type of file, which in this case will be what? MP3. You're all following on that, right? What is the name of the file? Whopper. Right? So if it's divided into sections, maybe the next file here, it's a PDF. And you are calling this is in your computer, right? You are calling this is your CV. Then somewhere here is a PNG, right? The PNG is pictures, right? Maybe this one, you are calling it what? You got it from WhatsApp, so it comes with a name like IMG 2022. You get such things. But this is how files are now saved in a memory. We're about to switch to programming. This was still the other section. When we speak of variables, we speak of the same nature, right? Wherein, based on the notes I just gave you, we're saying to get a variable, you must have the name of the variable and the data type, right? If I take you back now here, I'm preaching here. If I take you back here, you will see that we have the name of the file called Whopper. The data type is what? MP3. We have a document here, you're calling it your CV. The data type is what? PDF. We have a picture here. We can see it's called image whatsoever. And the type is what? PNG. Are you following this scenario? Now, programming does not have any of this kind, like PNG, MP3, PDF, document, what. Programming does not have those sections. The data types that programming supplies is the following we just spoke about. Booleans, characters, strings, float, double, integers, right? It does not have MP3. It does not have what. We don't have that data type. Are you following this? But then that means if we are now going to say what is an example of a variable, we're going to say we start with the type. The important thing, maybe here I should not have said name and data type. Maybe I should have said data type and the name. So we start with the time. Let's say you want a memory slot that will hold numbers. That means you'll do a shortcut of integer. Instead of writing the whole word integer, you write int num, or let's just call it full number. You leave it like that because some programming language will require you to end with a semicolon, like the one we are doing right now. You will have to end with a semicolon. What if you are dealing with a memory allocation that must save a number for decimal? You look through the data type. Which one allowed decimal numbers? Float and what? And double. Let's do an example of both. So you will say double. Here on double, there's no shortcut. You must write the whole word double. Then you can say number. You leave it like that. If it's a float, you write float. Same thing, number, like that. And for character, you will say char. You can still say character. In short, whatever you want. The name of the variable should resemble what that variable will hold. Right? Don't just call it number, A, B, C. You must try to find out what is that number that variable going to hold. You can have string, like you want to save a name of a person and things like that. The most important thing is when you are dealing with a variable, it's a data type together with the what? The name of the variable. Data type, name of variable. Data type, name of variable. Whew. What time does the puja stage start? They should allow us to drink at work. Should we move it to programming now? You have any question so far? No questions? You get it? Okay. Preparation will be the one to save you on this journey. Okay, let's do it now. Let's go and say we want to declare a variable of type integer, this one called age. You leave it like that. You can go declare a double variable called salary. You leave it like that. You can do a float variable called rate. You leave it like that. You can also declare a character variable called initials. And you leave it like that. What other data type am I missing? You can declare a variable of type string. Now, string, because it's a special thing, I'm choosing not to want to entertain it that far. But so far, no guys, we're talking. String for you, in order to be successful on string, you'll write it in capital letters. Like the first letter should be capital. String, let's say this is a name of a person. You leave it like that. Are you guys following what I'm doing? Now, let's say the variable age is not the only one that you want, which is of type integer. Let's say you also want a variable of type integer called max. You can do it underneath here. Maybe you want another one of variable integer called count. I'm not sure count for what, but just like that. Programming then gives you an option, right? Listen first and watch. You will type late. Programming will then give you an option to say, check the similarities of your variables. For example, how many variables are using the type integers? 3, right? Programming then will say, instead of putting them in 3 different lines, because your lining will now start to increase. You can see they've increased, right? There are too many. You are allowed to say, by the way, I'm going to have another variable called max. And you leave it. So you just say comma max. That means age and max are all part of what? Integers. Then you don't need this one here. You are following that, ne? That means you can do the same for what? For count. You can say comma count. But the last one must have a what? A semicolon. That means we don't need what? This one here. You cannot declare a variable twice using the same name. Right? Which means you cannot repeat, even if it's in the same line, you cannot come and repeat and say, I have another one called age. Right? The only issue to fight with you is age has already been sent. Why are you saying you want another age? If you want another one, you can say age 1. that is acceptable as well. Now, some few remarks on variables. Variables can never start, the name of the variable can never start with a uppercase. Right? You cannot say count. Don't do this. Ne? This is best practice of programming. You cannot start a variable with a number and say one count. Don't do this. Ne? This one throws an error immediately. You cannot say count people with a space and expect this to be a variable. If you want to say count people, you can either add an underscore, right? So that it's one name. If you don't want to add an underscore, you can make it together and maybe differentiate it to say people. It's written starting with a leading capital letter. Any questions? You people understand, ne? Ah, good. Now let's speak about initialization. Initialization is just a manner of saying a variable starting value is the following. For example, I can say, because age has already been mentioned, I can say, by the way, age is equals to 40. You are following, right? I can go and say, by the way, the salary of this person is equals to 2,750, like that. I can also go and say the rate that they are going with is 2.5. Okay, 2.5 is known. So maybe let's remove float. I don't really prefer float, and I don't want to confuse you a lot with this one. Let's forget the floating, the one for float for now. It has got a lot of politics involved into it. The initials of this person are equals to, this is how you will identify a character, T. Only one character allowed, ne? You can't go and say B. Then this is wrong. Remember, a character can only hold one letter. Ne? Then what is missing? The name of the person. You can go and say the name of the person. A string now is identified by double quotation, like that. And church, this is basically the start of your miserable life. So far it's still soft, ne? You can follow, ne? The only way this thing can be difficult is if you don't practice. If the only day or the only time you're going to be doing this is when a lecture comes in class, you are bound to fail and finding this difficult. Trust me, there is no magic. When I'm doing them here and you are doing them as well, they look very easy. Let me get out of the class and you sit alone and you go to YouTube and you start watching church videos. Right? You start receiving. It's okay. But trust me, when we say reproduce the same thing I just did in class, 2 weeks later, you will not bring anything. The only thing at best that you can write is the word int. So practice, guys, will make sure that this thing are in your head. And the reason I'm stealing this programming course from level 5 and bringing it to you when we're supposed to just be talking about how nice the program is because later on we have a tendency of recycling here. So if I'm recycling students to level 5, I wouldn't want to be sitting with students who still want to be taught what is a variable. Ne? I would want students wherein when I arrive in class, we're poorly just doing projects. Not even saying, say, hey, I can't log in. Yo, man took my what. Hey. I want people on the ground who will be like hungry to do projects. That makes my job easy. That's when you see I will even be becoming a 10, living at 12, because I know these people are ready. Okay. Now, because this is also long, programming does offer you an option to say when you are declaring, you can also initialize. Can you see what I'm doing? That means you don't really need this statement here. When you are declaring, the minute you say double, you can also say, by the way, this salary, it's actually equals to 2.750.00. The initial of this person or the name of this person, it's actually equals to Tendo, and the initial of the person, it's equals to T. Do we need this? No more. It's coming in, eh? Zengen, all of them. Okay, taking it and just increasing the volume a little bit. Last week, you learned about a statement which was saying system dot what? I think it was out dot print line. Ne? I said we're gonna go with this one for print line. Now, I want us to just put any of the variable. For example, let's say print age. In between here. Remember last week we were putting diamonds, we were saying hello world, right? Now I want us to pull age and see what happens. Once you pull age, just run your project and see if on the results here, it will print, what is the age? 40. Does it display 40? Church? Can you see on mine? The result is 40. Eh? You are not agreeing. Is it not 40 on yours? No, you can put your any age you want. I'm not saying you are bound to put 40. You can put anything as long as it's a number. Do you have anyone struggling with this? Or now, today you are struggling with the same statement of printout? System.out. It's almost time for eating. Did you win? Anyone else? Raise your hand if you got it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Hey, people are struggling, eh? Anyway, you can also, now you see it just print 40. It's very ugly, right? If someone was to come and see our program just saying 40, they will not understand what our program is doing, right? So let's go and modify this statement here. So you can remove age and start by saying in double quotation, just say age is, now listen very carefully. We're going to do something which is called string concatenating. Ooh, I was very scared to say that word. String concatenating. Now, when we speak of string concatenating, we're concatenating the strings. That means we're basically combining 2 or more strings, right? We're combining 2 or more strings. So the first string we have will be this one, which is saying age is, right? The second one I want is to call up the variable what? Age, so that it's displayed the minute I say age is. So I will have to say concatenate, it's just combining. Add this with the variable age. I think if you don't learn this programming right now, ooh, life is going to be difficult. And then if you run this now, check the nice results that comes up. Age is 40. Although the English might not be nice, maybe you have a better English that you can put here. Now, do you think you can challenge yourself to say salary is 2.750? Will that be difficult? You can see the pattern. Eh? but do it in the next line so that all the lines are displayed. So you'll do another system dot out dot print line, and in between you will say salary is, you add it together with the variable salary, and you can do the same for the others also so that they don't feel like they've been left out. Initial as is name is. Done. The goal of this application is such that it can print the following: age is 40, salary is 2 point what, initials is T, name is Tendo. Is this thing difficult?
No, sir.
What?
Someone is busy tampering with my work. They log in with my username, then they edit whatever they want to edit.
Ish. Yeah. We will survive. We will survive. Probably next week it will be sorted. Let me check. Yes, I am by the way recording this session, so you can always revisit the session and do the same thing. Yes, whenever the as long as it's getting to the head. Is it getting to the head what we're doing here? Okay. Because I'm about to do something else. I want to leave you here with enough information to sit alone and do something by yourself. Now, do you have an idea of what can we do to make, can we form a sentence by just looking at this? Eh? Can we form like a one sentence instead of having 4 lines? That makes sense. That has a good English. Maybe we can say, hey, what can we say here? We can say, Tendo, who is 40 years old, whose initial is T, earns a salary of this, something like that. You see why it's important, why we requested English. Because now we want you to form sentence. And if your English is on level 1, chances are we're not going to form a sentence here. People at the back, let's form a sentence. Those people are busy speaking. What's happening there at the back? Is the information arriving late? Give me a sentence, guys. How can we make it one sentence? So to make it one sentence, that means I would only have a single line here. But let's start. Maybe let's say, let me start by calling the variable name. I will add it together with a string. I will say Tendo, whose initials is, so I want the letter T now, ne? Agreed? Guys, stop programming. Assist me while I'm programming. You will copy later. So when I say name, it will say Tendo, whose initials is, I'm looking for the letter T. What is the variable holding the letter T?
Initial.
So I concatenate with initial. I want you to follow. First, you will then initials. You will then copy later. We are forming a sentence. What else can I say? I'm left with age and salary. I've already helped you enough here. It will say Tendo, whose initial is T, form a sentence with age and salary. You see, when you say level 1 English is not needed, you are left with two things. Form a sentence starting with this, what I've started with, but now include the age and the salary. Finish it up. Who ends? Okay. That means we'll then say, let's not say who ends, let's say ends. You see, the English there was better from my side. Ends, let's call the salary. This time around, let's even put a rand before it. Salary plus we're left with age. What are we gonna say? Come on, guys. Okay, this is my whole sentence. It says, Tendo, whose initial is T, ends what salary is 40 years old. Let's see if that's true. Tendo, whose initial is T, ends 2.7 and is 40 years old. Let's just put an end. Feel like without an end it does not, and is 40 years old. Done. Was this challenging? But you see, we have concatenated a string with a couple of variables, all of them making one sentence. Now my program is shorter. It's up to here. Now, let me go back to my thing here and go to your course and make an assignment. We work, we do stuff. So let me end the recording first.